On and Off the Street podcast, where we talk about everything on and off the streets, from automotive racing to personal growth, recent events, and debatable topics within the racing community, and stories of personal life experiences.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
With your host, Shot in Frame.
I'm super excited to welcome everybody to episode 1 of the On and Off the Streets podcast. And today I am joined by the king of stance, the godfather of air suspension, the great old Freddie Flintstone of VW, Justin Lyons.
What's up?
What's
yeah.
up, dude?
What's up, dude?
What's up?
Dude, it's a pleasure to be here.
Dude, I'm so happy to have you here for one, and then two, it's awesome to finally reconnect with you because I feel like it's been forever since we've seen each other last.
Yeah, a couple years now.
Yeah,
couple years.
And I've known you probably
Since day one
the
of
longest,
being in
longest now of anybody, especially me in the Oklahoma City car scene, because I met you when I had my first original Volkswagen, my Golf, and then you still had the Jetta back at the time.
Gosh, yeah.
That's what you ended up moving here with. So super excited to have you on, especially as a first guest, dude. This is going to be an awesome, like, more personal episode, and especially a talk back and forth with a longtime friend. So with that being said, I kind of gave people a little context clues of what you're about on the get-go on the intro. I know that you moved here from PA.
Yes.
Back into Oklahoma, what was it, 2015?
2015, yeah.
2015, 2016?
February, I want to say 17th, 2015.
So what I kind of want to start with is obviously before I met you. So, I mean, as open and broad that question may be, kind of want to talk about you growing up, the town you grew up in, and then how you got introduction to the car scene, and mostly V-dubs out of everything. How did you end up becoming a Volkswagen owner and opening it up?
Oh, man. So I'm originally from a small town in Pennsylvania outside of Scranton called Swearsville. And people back home, they refer to it as the back road. It's pretty small town. But where I'm from, there's a little niche of car people. And we hung out every day, and that was kind of my first introduction into the car scene. Was right after high school. I used to street race my parents' Kia, so this is true.
Dude, I think I vaguely remember us talking about this before.
This is really true. So when I first started street racing my mom's Kia, sorry mom, I'm gonna put you out there like that. I used to go down to this place called Kirby Park, and that's where everybody would meet up, and we would street race across this bridge.
And you said Scranton?
Yeah, right
This
outside of Scranton.
Isn't like the office Scranton?
Like the one and only.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you were street racing in Scranton.
Yes, in my parents' Kia, and I would go to this spot like every weekend, and people never asked me what my name was. So they referred to me as Kia Kid.
Very nice.
And that was my nickname all the way up until I moved here. I'm pretty sure there's people still back home that don't even know my name is Justin.
Yeah.
They only know me as Kia Kid.
Well, dude, what's crazy is I think you had posted on the forums that you were moving here before you had actually moved here, and that's how you and I became friends on one of the Volkswagen forums.
That's exactly. I knew I was moving here probably November of 2014, December 2014, something like that. And I know that the car community is super massive, and majority of the Volkswagen community is normally pretty positive and to your spit roasting people. But
yeah. Well, back then, I want to say Facebook was a lot more mild than it is nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, back then, it was a lot more friendlier of a community than it is today, when people know that they can get away with things and basically say what they want.
Yeah. So, I got out on a forum, and I remember I got in contact with you, and I actually got in contact with Sergio over at SS Industries. So shout out to Sergio.
Dude, that's crazy. Sergio's another OG too that I've known since I think even before I graduated high school.
Sergio actually was the person that told me where the spots were to meet up with people when at the time it was a car wash.
Dude, yes.
R.I.P. the car wash.
The car wash over on Northwest Expressway.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I first moved down here, I just kind of like hopped right into the car community.
And then so to back up just a little bit. So after the Kia, when did you first get your first car, and what was your first car?
So the first car that I ever built was an '88 Honda Accord.
And I think
flip-up
I've
headlights.
heard about those too.
It was gold, and when it rained, your feet all of a sudden got super wet, and I couldn't imagine it had anything to do with the hole in the floor by the gas pedal. But
you're ditching drugs out of the car down the highway,
slinging it, like super young. And then after that, I still had that car for a while, and I bought another Honda Accord. I was actually really into Hondas, man.
Which is crazy because I feel like a lot of people, especially fresh in the car game, like Honda is like the Legos. Like, you know how people, especially in the gun scene, they start off with like Glock just because there's like thousands of tutorials, there's millions of customizable parts.
It's super true.
Yeah.
And that, and they're cheap. They're like really, really, really cheap, and they're reliable. And when you're first entering the car scene, I mean, you don't want to walk anywhere, so you try to buy any car that's not going to...
And affordable.
Yeah, and most likely, I mean, when I started building cars, I think I was making $8 an hour.
Yeah.
So it was affordable at the time. So I bought another 91 Honda Accord off a friend, and I started building that. And that was like the race car. That was the first introduction into street racing for me. I put basically an Evo DSM turbo setup on a 91 Honda Accord. It made a couple hundred horsepower, and we were ready to go.
Which is a lot for a Honda.
Yeah.
Dude, 400 in a Honda is fucking scary.
Well, 300 wheel horsepower in 2011 in a Honda was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially being from a small town, so we would have to travel like all over if you wanted to get into races. Like, I had to go to like Philly, and like 2 hours away if I wanted to get like a legitimate race and not race my neighbor, you know. So
I heard the racing over in like Philly and like the New York area is absolutely insane. I watch a couple of guys on YouTube, and they'll shut down highways.
This is true, and I really do. I have a good friend out there in Philly. Shout out to Affiliated Kings. Those guys they're pretty cool. Jim's a good dude. Me and him go so far back, but they do. They shut down highways. They'll most street racing that happens in Philly aren't not the safest of areas. Yeah. So the cops aren't going there anyway after 7.
I've seen some of those videos, like when they meet up before they go to the race spot. Like, dude, they're downtown on like a corner store, and it's not like your 7-Eleven or like your Casey's. Like, this is a mom and pop, like small household owned, where they probably live upstairs.
It's really funny because a lot of PA is like that, like throughout the whole state.
Yeah.
When I took my wife back not that long ago, and I had to explain to her, like, everything is owned by families where I'm from. Like, there's like one Burger King in like a 40-mile radius. Like, it's small.
Yeah.
But it's like that everywhere in Pennsylvania. So yeah, you'll find some videos of some pretty sketchy looking places that have been there since like maybe 2 years after Jesus. Like it's just old, man. Old.
Jesus is still walking around down there. He's still down there somewhere.
Yeah. Just out there, you know.
So you got from the Honda. After that, did you get into Volkswagen, or when did the red Jetta come into play? Because that's when I had finally met you, was when you were the owner of that red Jetta.
So, truth be told, I never really liked Volkswagens. My cousin and I, we used to argue at a family like reunion every year, like a family party, and he was a diehard Volkswagen person. And I was like a diehard, like, you know, Honda person. So we used to argue like nonstop every year. We were like best friends.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks before his 21st birthday, a kid that bullied him in high school actually shot and killed him. So my first introduction into Volkswagens was in memory of my cousin. He had a Mark III Jetta in high school. It's actually who my son's named after, but that was the transition for me to because it wasn't about the car or the performance. It was like almost like I was riding with my cousin.
Yeah.
So that was the introduction. I actually first bought a Mark V GTI. It was red as well. And I
think I've seen pictures of that too.
RIP that car too.
Yeah.
So I lowered it as low as I can get it, static on like the cheapest coilovers. Me and my buddy Jeff, we bought them off eBay for like $200. Maxed them out.
Yeah.
I hit a storm drain in construction and I ripped the subframe off my car, totaled it right then and there.
Yeah.
And so my friend Dan had this red, GLI. And I was like, man, I want that car. He started working at BMW and he wanted a BMW now, So the first opportunity, he traded his car in. I went up to the dealership he worked at, bought it, carried about my day, and that was the start of the GLI.
And that was the car I met you.
That was the car that you met me with.
Dude, we have so many memories in that car.
There's a lot.
So many memories.
I'll have to check to see what we can talk about legally and what we can't.
So many. We'll get to that. We will get to that. So many memories.
But yeah, that was the beginning of it. So I never really got into Volkswagens until later on.
Yeah.
I was like die hard, like Honda to the bone.
Yeah.
But they were cheap and they were fun, and you didn't really care when you broke,
Dude, and back then those Mark IVs and Mark Vs were fun. Like whether it was a Jetta or a Golf or GLI, whatever you had.
My Mark V GTI, it was just tuned downpipe, just basic stuff, but it made a decent amount of power for the area that I was in.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing to hang your hat on.
Dude, and it looks like a total mom car, but it makes power. But nobody expects a four-door Volkswagen to pull away.
No, the GLI that escalated so fast.
Yeah.
I got the car.
And I feel like a majority happened after you moved here to Oklahoma.
that was pretty much it. Like I bought it. It was like stage 2. And then it went to like all the stages in life. And I was like, this isn't fast enough because everybody in Oklahoma.
So funny you say that. I forgot about stages and Volkswagens.
Yeah. So everything got, upgraded and changed, and we did the bigger turbo and different everything. And I made a decent amount of power, but for Oklahoma, that was the perfect sleeper. Like people were really upset when their Mustangs were getting,
and that's where I came into play.
Yeah, they would get yanked by this base model looking Jetta.
I used to be the ultimate race master.
Yes,
because I knew most of the scene. Like I had went around and watched, and so when you had moved in and we had connected and like clicked right off the bat, I remember us like always going up to 39th or RS Fuels or
my first day here in Oklahoma. I remember this. Me and you met up, but I was in a hotel. We weren't even in a house yet. I was in a hotel, and it was my very first day. I was here maybe 30 minutes. We met up at a car wash on 29th, and we went to the street races on 29th. This was a Sunday, and it was behind, whatever building. And I remember I pulled up. I met a friend I'm still friends with now, Rudy, and I watched the race happened, and it was another Volkswagen, and the kid had a KO4 on it, and like as soon as he launched, I was like, KO4 car,
Yeah.
And like he came back around because he heard me sing. He's like, how do you know? Like nobody else here knows this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I also drive a Volkswagen. And I remember that was like my first introduction to the street racing scene here, and then the following weekend wasn't as exciting.
So So that is a memory I will never, ever forget. And I don't remember all the details. I remember us going to RS Fuels. And, of course, I did my talking. And we got locked in with a BMW or an Audi. I remember it was a four-door sedan.
Yeah.
And we were up at RS Fuels. And
Yes.
I remember getting on Lake Hefner Parkway and going southbound.
Yep.
And we had like 8 or 10 cars with us. Like, it was a group. It wasn't like a small,
There was a lot of us.
And back then, the racing scene was hot, but it wasn't hot enough to gain like task force or police attention.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I remember going southbound. I remember us lining up, and I don't even think we raced. I think we were getting ready to race, and something had happened where we decided to get over or keep driving, and then all of a sudden we got lit up.
Yeah. So
And we were the lead car, and I will never forget this. We got off the highway, and everybody followed us because we were the lead car.
Yes.
And I was like, these fucking idiots. Why are we not going in a million different directions right now to try to get away?
So we locked in a race, I remember, at RS, and we were heading south. And I looked in my rear view mirror, and I saw like different lights, and then I saw a car like coming up on us hot, like bobbing and weaving and coming up. So the dude in front of us, they took off racing in those Mustangs or whatever they were in.
Yeah.
And I just like played it cool, kept driving, minded my own business. And then they pulled over the car next to us, remember?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I kept driving, didn't hear anything. And then all I remember is hearing, "Sir, in the red car, please pull over." And I'm like, what? So I pull over, and we got off on the expressway on-ramp.
Well, I remember we were talking back and forth, and we were contemplating just shooting for it.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't going to get off.
No.
We were going to go ahead and fly down expressway. Because like you said, there were 10 to 12 cars, maybe even more than that. Like, we could have gotten away. That wouldn't have been a problem. But I didn't expect everybody to follow us.
Yeah.
So we got off, like you said, on expressway. And I remember everybody following behind us. And that's when the dude came over the intercom and was like,
pull over.
Sir,
in the red car.
Yeah.
Stop driving and pull over.
And pull over now.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Dude, I felt so bad.
I remember we sat in the car,
so
and I'm
bad.
looking at you, and I'm like, dude, it's getting impounded. You're like, nah, man, not here in Oklahoma City. They never impound cars. I'm like, bro, this has happened before. This isn't my first rodeo here.
I remember that.
The car is getting impounded.
I was like, no, dude, you're good.
Like, no, dude.
You're good, bro.
You're perfectly fine.
Long story short, the car got impounded.
They left. Dude, remember the cop was like showing us his Porsche on his
Porsche, yeah.
And then the tow truck guy comes, and I'm like, my car's on air, and they just left it running, and I'm like,
oh my Jesus.
Are they going to ever shut my car off?
Dude, I remember the cop that pulled us over was in a Crown Vic. For those of you listening, just so you know how long ago this was, there was still a Crown Vic on the road.
Yeah, and that tow truck driver just like drove off. I'm like, all right, so not only is my car getting impounded, but it's just going to idle itself to death. Like, are they going to shut it off at the impound lot? And that turned into like the biggest debacle ever. Because I had Pennsylvania tags on the car, and they weren't going to release my car until I showed proof of registration
and residency. Yeah, which you hadn't had a house yet. You guys hadn't moved in.
No. I didn't have a house. I didn't have, I couldn't get to my car because it was an impound lot.
Yeah.
To get my registration. So it sat there in car jail for like 2 weeks.
Dude, it was longer than that. I swear it was months, dude. Oh, no, that was after the fact.
Yeah.
You couldn't drive in like Oklahoma City limits.
Yeah, I had to sign an affidavit saying that I couldn't drive my car in Oklahoma City limits for a year.
Dude, I forgot all about that.
I was here. I want to say I was here 8 days.
I remember after that, every time we hung out, we had to go like around Oklahoma City limits.
And it didn't help that I lived in Oklahoma City.
You came down to Moore a lot.
Yeah, a whole lot. And like I remember going to like Oklahoma City, like you'd see the city limit lines, and I would get out of the car and switch, and you would drive.
Yes.
Because I couldn't drive the car in the city limits.
Dude.
That was the most ridiculous thing ever. I remember I told the cops, like, we went back and forth, and I told them, like, dude, just sell the car.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfectly fine. The task that you're giving me is impossible. Sell the car. It's a Jetta. Just to let you know, you guys are going to get like $4,000 for it.
Dude.
And they were like, come up and sign it.
Did they cite you for street racing?
No, I got I think it was $1,100. I got cited for attempting to engage in illegal street activity. And when I went to fight it, I didn't even get a speeding ticket. We weren't even speeding yet.
Yeah.
It was just attempting to engage in illegal street activity. And yeah, it was like $1,100. They impounded my car. I think after everything was said and done, I paid almost $3,500.
Dude, I
on that.
felt so bad, bro.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I feel so bad.
But have you know, for those that are listening, when I did get the car back, we did actually get into some real street races, and I
Yeah.
decided that if anything were to ever happen, we weren't stopping.
Yeah, dude, it sucks.
Which
it's
then-
such an ultimatum, isn't it?
Remember
'Cause
when
it's
we were
like-
running from the cops and we stopped underneath the bridge and the helicopter kept following the 350Cs and we dipped off? I know you know.
Yes. Dude, because it sucks, man. You want to you want to do what's right
Yeah.
and take the consequence, and you think, okay, it's a ticket, I have to go to court, I may have to take a class, and you're like, okay, do what I need to do, and it goes there, and then you stop and you take the consequence, and it
Yeah.
goes to your car getting impounded, you getting arrested, you not being able to drive, your license revoked, and then you're like, I'm never stopping again.
Dude.
I might as well just take the full flight.
Yeah. You're committed. You're like, all right, I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit.
Dude,
And
oh my
yeah,
gosh.
my insurance was through the roof.
Yeah. I think
for,
we had talked about that too.
for years,
Yeah.
dude. My car insurance went from $94 to $400 overnight.
Yeah.
I was like, oof. Welcome to having a second car payment.
Yeah, dude.
In car insurance. It was
Wasn't
awful.
there a loophole? I thought we found a loophole or something at some point about you being able to drive through city limits or something about getting that knocked off.
Yeah, they said that after making some friends, they said that they actually couldn't tell what car was what because when it was impounded, it had Pennsylvania tags on it.
Yeah.
And when I got it out, I had to switch obviously to Oklahoma tags. It was completely
which
different
renewed
tags,
the registration.
which renewed the registration. So
Yeah.
the only way the cops would actually know was to pull me over and run my VIN number.
Yeah.
No one does that,
Yeah.
especially when you don't stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I was like, I think it was 6 months into that, and I was like, you know what, F it, I'm gonna drive my car.
Yeah.
I'm not letting it sit my first year
Dude,
in
I
Oklahoma.
still can't believe that happened to this
That was the
day.
the most
Dude,
ridiculous thing.
so here in the state of Oklahoma, for those that don't know, we have I don't want to call it a restaurant. It's like a fast food joint, but it's a home-owned fast food joint. The farm and everything is here where they kill the cows and get the milk. But it's called Brahms, and it's kind of like a Burger King or a McDonald's or the Calvers. Is that what they call it? It's Calvers, right? The other burger joint. But it's actual, it's pretty good. It's actual real burgers and real meat. But I remember I have this video somewhere. It might be even on Facebook.
I think I have it.
But I took you to go get your first Brahms burger.
Yes.
And in the intro of the video, you were like...
Day 11.
Yeah, day 11.
Got my car impounded.
Car is impounded. Almost got arrested.
Almost got arrested. I am carless.
Here's my first
Here's
Brahms
my first
burger.
Brahms burger. Yeah.
Dude, I remember we had to call Sierra to come get us because it was 11 or 12 at night, and
Yeah.
we sat there in the grass while, like you said, the tow truck was there loading up, and
Yeah.
the cops were there waiting on us to get a ride.
I remember that, dude, because the cop was like, do you have a ride? I'm like, dude, I don't even have a house.
You're like, dude, I don't even live here. I'm not even from here right now.
let me go ahead and Uber
Dude,
it.
I
Yeah.
still can't believe they took your car,
Yeah,
bro.
they took the car.
Dude, I feel so bad.
And then I remember we got it back and we went to Streetcar Takeover and we bullied some 5th gen Camaros.
Dude, those were the good days. Dude, I missed the car scene back then. It sucks now, and I don't know if it's us getting old or new kids coming out. They probably felt the same way about us whenever we were young and getting into it. But
I'm sure
dude,
that
back then were the days, dude.
yeah, I
We used to stay out till 2 or 3 in the morning, dude.
at least, yeah. I don't know if it's I don't even go out anymore, dude.
Yeah.
I could tell you the last time I even went out. I don't go to meets or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it's just because the car scene or whatever. So it's definitely changed over the years, and I don't think it's for the better, and I don't know if it's for the worse, because I think in today's world, people are really into the hype and one-upping each other, and you could do that on a medium
the
platform.
clout.
Yeah, but you could do it on a mass media platform.
Yeah.
I would be lying, and I'm sure other people would be lying if they said that they never ripped a donut
Yeah.
in a parking lot.
Yeah.
But now that there's shutdowns and stuff like that are mass
Dude,
media,
I hate those so
produced,
much. Hate those.
those people, get clowned on.
Dude,
but
if anyone listens to this and goes to a street takeover, you are ruining the car scene.
And
ruining it.
I could say, like, in the meets that I've gone to, which haven't been often, I haven't seen anybody do those donuts. But those guys that are doing it, because you can show those videos worldwide at a much larger face, it's easier for them to draw attention on themselves.
Yeah. And then the media gets a hold of it.
And then the media gets a hold of it.
Facebook
and then everybody gets upset on the internet over stuff that doesn't pertain to them.
The old
because
lady
they don't
can't
even
go to sleep at fucking 9 o'clock because she's hearing somebody on MacArthur and fucking 39th do donies.
When we were getting the cops called on us for, racing on the turnpike.
Yeah.
So,
well, the good thing about us is we stayed on the highway.
This
like
is true.
we weren't on city streets and like urban
guns
neighborhoods.
In the air.
You remember the spot out where your dad used to work?
Yeah.
The long straight?
Yep.
Dude, we used to pull up there at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and it's basically like a warehouse industrial place, and there was like probably a 2 or 3 mile road that was mostly private.
Yep.
And dude, we used to have hundreds of cars sitting in that parking lot.
Yeah.
And it was legit actual cars racing. I remember going there with you like all the time.
Yeah.
And we
remember
would
that.
hang out there. I remember your dad like asked us where we were one night or something, and he didn't know that that's where the spot was, and I don't even think we knew that's where he had worked at the time, or that's where the location of his work was.
No.
And I remember we showed him, dude, and he was like,
That's my parking lot.
y'all
You're
are
in.
those motherfuckers that are back there.
Like,
yeah.
You are the burnout mark in our parking lot.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. That was pretty much it. And I'm like, don't tell mom.
Dude, back in the day used to be lit, especially like you were saying with the RS fuels. I remember because it was super respectable back then. Like all the guys with the actual fast built cars would park near or under the pumps.
Yeah.
And all the people watching, or all the spectators, or, the people that would come with not such fast cars would still be a part of it, but they would park along the street, or they would park in the parking spots, or, it was like a nightly, weekly underground showcase.
Yeah.
And
that was pretty much
people didn't act fucking stupid. People didn't get upset. There wasn't like mass, panic from civilians and police officers coming and showing up and kicking everybody out like there is today. Dude, I remember that military truck, that long like cargo military truck would come out and like park across the curb. Like people would bring some crazy ass shit, dude.
Yeah.
This was just our nightly weekend meetup, and dude, we don't have those anymore.
No.
We don't.
I'm honestly, I don't even know what the car community, like the meetup is thing. I literally just work in the garage,
dude,
man, and I don't even leave.
Back what you were saying about social media and stuff. These kids post up their spots on Facebook, on Snapchat, on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Like, dude, you guys are idiots. You guys are absolute idiots. There's a video I watched the other day. Someone posted on one of the 405 groups, but it was a dude in an all-stock single cab F-150 running from a sheriff in the Bass Pro parking lot.
I saw
and he
that
was
video
going
too.
up and down the aisles of Bass Pro.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember, man, when I first got into the car scene, we didn't have like the Facebook meetup spots or
Dude,
Snapchat.
It was all word. Yeah.
You literally either knew the spot, or you just didn't.
Yeah.
And you would just go to these spots and pray, people were there, and that's how you networked. Or before that, when I first got into it, we actually had like, I don't even know, kind of like this website Vortex forum type.
Dude, yes.
And we had a street race forum, and we would just trash talk everybody on there, and you would find your spots that way. We didn't have like now. I mean, I can get on Snapchat and find out pretty much where everyone is, and they're like proud of it, and then they like cry when the cops roll up.
Post up the meat. Share with your friends.
My favorite.
Tell everybody.
My favorite is pop-up meets right now.
Dude,
pop-up meets are like
gosh.
a big thing, and like the people that post them up, they have like, I don't know, man.
Claptraps.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I haven't been to any of them,
So
so I couldn't tell.
Back to it, and then we'll kind of change topics. But you mentioned earlier the car wash.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, dude, the car wash went on for years, and this was on like Northwest Expressway. I don't remember the crossroad, but it was all the way out
Council.
west. Was it Council?
Yeah, I was right next to
Dude,
Walmart.
that was like a Fast and Furious straight out of the movie. Like, dude, 8, 9 o'clock, everybody rolled in like a movie scene.
Remember the first time we went up there and I aired out on everybody and like they lost their mind because they'd never seen a car on air ride before? Like it just blew people's minds. Like you remember? Yeah, we pulled up and we just aired out and like it blew their minds.
Dude, but that was another thing. We could be up there for hours, man.
Yeah.
And there was cars of anything and everything, and they were actual builds. And by actual builds, they weren't the nicest. It's not like they were, today's 800 to 1,000 horsepower. But like even if they only made 200 or 300, like you said back in the day, that was quite a bit. For
that was
most
a
of
lot
these
of
cars.
Yeah.
But dude, you would see like I remember that one guy with the what's the Chrysler with the hatch, the 4-door,
Chrysler.
or is it a Chevy? The Chevy Cruze.
Could have been
The 4-door.
Sonic?
The 4-door. Was it a Sonic?
It could have been a Sonic.
It's the 4-door SUV looking thing, but it's like a crossover and it's got the hatch on the back of it.
Yep.
Dude, there was a guy with one of those making like 350 horsepower.
Oh my gosh!
The blue one. You remember
I do
that?
remember
yeah,
that.
his name was Chris or something. It was a black dude, but
It
he
was
was
a
super
Sonic.
cool. But dude, like crazy shit like that. And even though it's not like a McLaren or a Lamborghini or Fox body with 800 horsepower, dude, that was some cool ass shit back in the day.
It
that
really was
awesome,
It was pretty fucking dope,
dude. But I remember you breaking out of the racing for a while,
Yeah.
and you started faux dangling with some of the stance guys and some of the stance groups, which obviously in VW, that's 100% of what it all is stance.
Yeah.
And I remember you got into like the air scene and the suspension scene.
So when I got down here, I got into a car club called Team Diverse,
Yeah.
and they were definitely more of the stance and show.
Which they've been around for forever too.
Yeah.
Dude, ages.
Yeah, forever. And they were like more show, but everybody was static.
Yeah.
And being from small town Pennsylvania, everybody would ask me like, who did the work on my car? And the answer was always, I did the work on my car. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't make enough money back home, nor did we have custom shops. Like, everybody back home does their own work,
Yeah.
So when I got into Diverse, they were like, well, you should, help me bag my car. And it turned into like this ongoing thing where, next thing you know, 80% of the club is on air.
You had the homie pop-up shop.
Yeah. Just
I remember coming over to your house and you always just had different cars in your damn
Dude,
garage, dude. Like all the time.
I think every weekend I had something different
Yeah.
at the garage at my house, like
So how was that transition going from racing and street racing and getting stupid crazy with the Jetta to going to legit wheels and VIP seats and
like
wine trays in the back seat with the carpet and the installed carpet and the lights and the trunk and air suspension setups, because that's two different worlds, dude. That's a transition.
It was quite the transition, and I think it kind of just it fell into my lap. Like I didn't really make a decision. Like I'm gonna wake up one day. I kind of got labeled that from the start. Like being here freshly on air and no one really seeing it. It kind of like almost forced me to stick with it. Like I wanted to be known as like the fast Volkswagen guy, but it just it kept falling short. Like everybody knew me because my car was on air
In the stance. Yeah. And stance was a huge thing.
and
back
that
then,
was-
too,
that was-
especially in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, so it was. I stood out just because of that itself.
Yeah.
And then when you tie that with building your own stuff, it kind of went hand in hand. So the transition was pretty easy. I'm a creative person, so and artistic.
And that's another thing. So it going from a hobby, and we'll get into kind of your business, what you do and run now. But did it come from like natural instinct, or did you have to learn how to make boxes and learn how to wire and run airlines and learn how the system and management worked and learn how to hook up the electrical wiring for the management systems? And how did that all come into play or kind of kick in for you?
A lot of stuff I think came natural and a basic understanding of how things work and pneumatics work and electrical work, and building more of the custom stuff came pretty naturally. My wife asked me the other day, like, how do you think of do these designs? And I kind of just stare at something that just comes to mind and we
Yeah.
run with it.
Because those trunk setups I remember you doing in your garage, like, would get wild.
Yeah.
Like, you guys would go from, like, anything from, like, your basic wood to your stain grain to your, like, throwing in RGB LED lights when you open the trunk to, like, sound system boxes. Like, it would get pretty nutty just all in a trunk setup.
Yeah, it escalated pretty quickly, and that really started with getting out and going to shows, like, and competing.
Which that's another thing, Team Diverse. You guys traveled from anywhere and everywhere outside of Oklahoma City limits and even out of the state.
And seeing those other builds and what other states were doing, you know, it kind of just like, you know, it wowed me.
Opens the door.
Yeah, because, you know, like I said, I'm from a small town, and back home, like, our whole goal was to get internet famous, you know? We didn't even think, like, shows. Like, we had Carlisle, and we had, like, the show at LCC, like, the local community college, but it wasn't like, it'd be like going to, like, a classic car show, like, on a Sunday. It wasn't anything fancy.
There was a while that I was like, dude, my boy's officially a stance kid. I'm never going to see him again. Like, he's Team Diverse now. He's gone.
You know, it was really fun.
I remember showing up to, and we'll talk about your son, but showing up to your son's first birthday, and dude, there's just a bunch of diverse motherfuckers standing around. And
dude, they were everywhere.
I think I showed up in my Evo.
Yeah.
And of course, the Evo's not stance at all. It's all straight line, ready to go fast. So like,
yep, that was pretty much it. But the transition wasn't too bad. A lot of it came natural. And just learning, I had to learn, like, I mean, I had to learn upholstery. I had to learn LED lighting. I had to learn all kinds of different stuff, acrylics and different materials.
And for anyone wanting to get started in that, did you kind of learn off of YouTube or just by doing it or forums? Like, what gave you the entry to start learning and start doing and being able to accomplish that?
A ridiculous amount of trial and error.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know, buying stuff and it failing, and then sick of buying new stuff because it gets expensive really quick.
Then you're like, shit, I can't fuck this up.
Yeah, you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Swayed us how much a yard?
How am I gonna tell them like we're out of this role?
Yeah. So like, or like fittings, like air fittings are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So no, it's just a lot of trial and error for me, for sure.
And then so with that going on, you know, you're getting out of the car scene you had just got done dealing with and going through on dealing with, you know, the police stuff that we had to deal with and getting pulled over. I remember you getting a job interview and started working, and then all of a sudden you got the announcement of having your first kiddo.
Yes.
And did you shit bricks?
Dude,
or
I was scared.
How old were we at the time?
God, I think I was 24.
24. So I would have been probably like 19, 18, if that, maybe 17.
I think you just turned 18.
Yeah, something like that. So how did that news kind of come up, and how did it sink in? Was it like an expecting? Did you know the talk was coming? Was it a surprise?
No, it was definitely a surprise. It was not something that I think mentally at the time I was ready for.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's kind of a crazy speed bump. Like, you're traveling, you're going in the car scene, you're making a name for yourself, you're managing all these systems, and all of a sudden you, like, dude, your world has to feel like it's just, like, at a halt all of a sudden.
It shifted super fast.
You're like, I'm going to have to sell my car. I'm going to have to
I remember I started parting it out.
Yeah.
I started parting my car out because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't afford this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with life.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember I didn't feel established with myself or anywhere in life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out of thousands of miles away from, you know, my home and everything I know, my friends, you know, my support group. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to build that. I mean, I was here 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I found I was going to be a dad.
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm a super family oriented person, so all I knew how to do was step up. Like I knew, because I'm out of state, my friends and family, you know, my network is not here besides my parents.
Yeah.
I couldn't run. Like, I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I had no choice, but I stepped up, and it was, you know, I think at that point in time in my life, I was on a spiraling downhill anyway.
Yeah.
I moved here, you know, to better my life because I truly needed it. I was drinking too much. I was partying too much. I was making poor life decisions. coming down here. So getting that news is terrifying as it was like the reality check that I needed.
Yeah.
It was like the slap in my face where, you know,
It's time to
before
buckle.
before, you know, things that I did in life and I skated away with no consequence, there was no skating this.
Yeah.
You know, I had to face it.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I think I really had to face, like, you know, something that I'd done ever.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, there's a human life.
And I mean, it's crazy because we met through our mutual friend group.
Yeah.
And so it was wild, not only one of my friends, but two of my friends both becoming parents, and both of you, like, being young and, you know, kind of getting settled in, and like you said, having to stop and, like, we're doing this. Like, it's time to
there's no
settle down, buckle in, and, like, you're going full shot.
Yeah, there's no escaping that. And like, honestly, I think at the time, me and my son's mom, I don't even think we were like actually like officially together.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
We were for a little bit after that. It didn't work. And
try to work out. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't.
So how was it sitting down and, like, telling your mom and your dad and, like, letting your brother know?
Dude, I remember this so clearly. We were so new.
Real quick. Your family's Italian?
Mixed.
Your mom's like Boston or something. I know she's got a crazy ass family oriented accent.
Bro.
I just want everyone to know this because this is like how awesome the reaction is.
She's love you, Mom. But I remember getting that news and breaking it to my parents, and it pretty much went like this. Mom, Dad, I'm going to be a dad. There's just no other way to say it. And they looked at me square in the face, stone sour. And they asked me, are we happy? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of happy. I'm going to be a dad, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, then we're happy.
That's awesome. That's good.
No, that's like the worst thing ever because there was no genuine emotion.
Oh, it was just straight.
It was just straight. Like,
yeah, there was no like shock or surprise factor.
No, they're just like, they looked at me like square in the face, like, you fucked up enough in your life. How are we approaching? Yeah, how are we approaching this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm happy. And they're like, all right, then we're happy. And that was the last that they ever spoke of it.
Really?
Yeah, not even kidding.
Yeah.
So, for that whole roller coaster of pregnancy, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah. And then amongst the mix, I mean, dude, now he's the best thing in everybody's life.
My son is the most genuinely loving human being.
He's so awesome.
And he's no different than any other 7-year-old, but he loves, I think, a little bit harder.
Dude, it's crazy. He's 7 now, bro.
Dude, 7 years old.
Dude, I literally feel like he's still 2 or 3.
Dude, he's 7, and right now he wants to have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And he wants, like, he's
driven.
Yeah, dude.
He's got
such
that.
a nerd.
He's got that from you, dude.
He's such the nerd,
so
and I
driven.
love it. He's a huge gamer. And yeah, he wants to basically be Mr. Beast.
Dude.
Like that's what my son wants to be right now. I asked him what he wants to do when he gets older. He said he wants to work for me and be Mr. Beast.
That's awesome. That's badass.
So I don't know what title that is. It's not a cop. It's not, you know, a doctor. You know, he's just out here trying to make chocolate bars and make people laugh. You know, like,
dude. Yes.
So,
and he can do that.
Yeah,
he can do that. He's got your drive, dude.
He's such the giver, such a lover. Love it.
So I know shortly after that, obviously you had him. I remember being at your 1-year-old birthday or his 1-year-old birthday and being able to see him and spend time with him.
Yeah.
And then not too long after that, you got news of your mom.
No, we got it actually while he was still in the womb.
Was he?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember back then.
I think she was maybe 3 months pregnant.
Uh-huh.
And we got the news that my mom had cancer.
Yeah.
Stage 4 lung cancer, man.
Yeah. Dude, and like we talked before we started this podcast, because I wanted to make sure it was okay with you before we brought it up. Dude, I was so close with your family, especially back then. And like, your guys' household was an extension of mine.
Yeah.
Like, whenever things were going wrong at home for me, I was with you, and
Yeah.
I was with your family. And I remember sitting there and talking to your mom and dad for hours, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like, you go into a friend's house and you say hello and what's up and it's awkward. You go on and hang out with your friend and dip out and leave. Like, dude, we would bullshit and hang out and talk with each other. Me and your dad would have genuine conversations. So when that news came out and you had told me and she told me, dude, that hit me.
Yeah, it was at that time, like, I just found out I was going to be a dad.
Yeah.
I'm in a state I have no friends.
Yeah.
And then my mom, is basically told you have 3 to 6 months to live if you respond to treatment.
Yeah.
Like, my world was a wreck.
Yeah.
Absolute wreck. I didn't know feelings. I didn't know where I was. I was like the little boy at heart. Like, I want to go home and, go to bed and hold my
Block everything
Snuggie
out.
and, pretend
Yeah.
like this is a dream, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was my life. I'm living it,
Yeah.
know? So I didn't know what to do. So all I could do was, step up, and, maybe there was a lot of things at that time I probably didn't do the best, but I mean, I was just a ball full of emotion. I didn't know what to do.
And I mean, when, dude, like you said, you're 23, 24, when you're still that young, even today with me being 26, dude, I still don't know if I'm doing right sometimes.
I don't even know if I'll ever grow up or if I know what I want to do in life.
You never know what in the world is going on around you.
So,
you just live in the moment.
Yeah, so we went into that whole year. This was October 2015. She got diagnosed. Basically was told, 3 to 6 months, like, you're done. You got stage 4 lung cancer. It's in your lymph nodes in your neck. Like, write your will.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah.
And we got her with a doctor, and treatment started responding really good. And I mean, she's still around now, 7 years later. Still has cancer. But,
how was that? Kind of going through you and your family and mentally prepping your guys' self and kind of settling in and. Heading it straight on as a family, because dude, that's tough. That's not just a one-on-one battle. That's a household battle.
It's definitely a household battle, and like it was because
she was still working at the time too, and still going to work on top of that.
Yeah, she was working at Harbor Freight at the time, and then she had to give up the job. She was pissed.
Yeah.
Oh man, she was mad.
Yeah.
And then it was a struggle. Like every day, like hearing her cry because she had, blisters from radiation and it just hurts everywhere, or, her having mental breakdowns because she, she's dying, like there's no nice way to say it.
Yeah.
You hear the C word and it's like, welcome to the grave, like, you know what I mean? Like
that stops your everyday life too, dude, because you have to stop what you're doing and go to those treatments and plan to make it there and how long you're going to be there for, dude, and what news you're going to hear after that.
It makes everything sad and tainted, dude. Like, I remember, like, I had hard times, like, listening to music around her because I'm like, what if this is the last song? Yeah. Like, do I take her to a restaurant? What if this is the last play? Like, everything was like, you're ready for it to be spoiled for life, Yeah. And I remember instead of like running and dealing with everything else, I took her to every doctor appointment. My brother and my dad still had to work. At that time, I worked grave shift. So I took her to every doctor appointment, and we built a huge bond, even if sometimes we butt heads.
Yeah.
But it was rough, man. It's still rough because she's still fighting.
Dude, she's kicking fucking
ass.
Yeah,
dude,
though.
She's seriously kicking ass.
Dude, she's one of the best mothers and women I've met.
I told her this is true, and y'all can laugh at this later. I told her that she'll beat cancer and she'll live to be 300 because only the good die young, and she's a miserable bitch.
That's so bad.
And if you know my mom, and if you ever get to meet her, she is the toughest, hard-ass person.
She's awesome.
Her name is Sharon, and I always tell her what rhymes with Sharon is Karen.
Dude,
and
she's so awesome.
She's the best, man.
She's like that true homestead mom. Like, make sure all the friends are fed, make sure everyone's taken care of. Like, dude, every time I ever met her, she was like, have you eaten? Do you need anything? Are you staying over tonight? Like, how have you been? What's going on in your life? Dude, you don't get that from a lot of people. Like, especially when you're younger like that. You, like I said, you just say hello, goodbye, and like that's that.
Dude, she's the most loving and welcoming and scariest person on the planet.
So you're going through that, and then finally Andrew's born.
Yeah, Andrew's born.
What is the process of becoming a father, and what's the guide? What's the tips? What do you have of going from this thing is pooped? What do I do? This thing's crying. What do I do?
Don't get on the internet because everything leads to the worst thing. Like, I remember I never held a baby, and like you get on the internet and they're like they're super fragile. Like, don't touch it. Look at it wrong, dead. Don't hear heartbeat, dead. It might have shit sneezed at the same time, could lead to death. You hear these horror stories, and everybody and their sister has their own remedy. They're like, just rub ice on their butthole, and that will bring their temperature up, and all of a sudden they'll eat Cheerios. You know?
Yeah.
So ignore all of that, because 90% of it is horse ass.
So you just get up and do it.
Yeah, you face it. Like you just get up and you do it.
Because I know, obviously, then you having a kiddo on top of that until he was old enough to kind of, be able to take it out. Like, you were gone a lot then, too, because you were busy working and being a father.
Dude,
you had another soul
gone
to take care
a lot.
of. Yeah.
And me and his mother, we separated.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you have to step up, and we have a great agreement of who watches when.
Yeah.
And it works, know? And at that time, I mean, I wasn't making a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was doing everything I could on the side, hustling to make sure he had.
And is that kind of where air management and, car work and stance?
Yeah,
and
that's kind of where it came into play, because, I didn't want to lose or jeopardize the career that I had with my day job, which I still have.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't afford my bills.
Yeah.
So when I moved down here,
in case anybody was wondering what that just was, my dog is having the zoomies and throwing bones. So if you heard that in the background, I'm sorry.
So like when I first moved here, I had $300, man.
Yeah.
That's literally all I had. So I knew only how to hustle, and with that drive and that ambition, I started doing side work. And then side work started off with the car club that I was in, and then it turned into charging people, like, the cheap dude next door.
Yeah.
And
even like the simplest of jobs.
Yeah, stupid stuff. Changing headlights, putting underglow on cars, know?
Yeah.
People knew that I knew how to install air ride because they had seen that I had done it before, and at that time I wasn't the greatest, but I wasn't terrible.
Athena, hey. Dude, she's going crazy. I'm so sorry. She's got a husk, and that's her favorite husk, and she will literally just toss that thing around and throw it for ages. Take that, yeah. That is what we will hear for the rest of the episode. Athena, hey, take this. Go grab something else. But yeah, like you were saying, anything from like the simple air filter install to...
Yeah, I was doing it, man. I was taking it on because... I needed all of the income that I could get, so I could.
And did your friends and family kind of see that? Like, did they know, or was there a different kind of respect versus asking for freebies, knowing that you had a kid or that you had, another person that you had to, supply for in order to take care of?
I think at first, no, I didn't get a whole lot of support at all. I was, I was basically told I'm being selfish. I need to, be there for my son more. And it's true. I mean, kids will put out the time that you put in.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a hard balance and hard transition, and a lot of anger and a lot of mixed emotions, like, thinking to myself, like, what am I even doing this for?
Yeah.
Is it even worth it?
Yeah.
Let's quit my job and find something that pays better. I just, I was a ball of emotions and not kind of scared, not knowing what to do. And all I knew was my hustle. I've been a hustler my whole life, whether it was legally or,
doing what you have to do,
doing what I had to do to make ends meet or live a life that I wanted to live, I've always had that mindset, I've never in my life ever had just one job.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I've always had multiple ways of income. So it was nothing new for me, but in this case, I had limited time because I still had to raise a son, you know? And it wasn't like I'm the dad that has my son like 1 month, like one day of the month or every other weekend. Like I have my son every week.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's kind of another thing, going in and going to car shows and going to the car scene. You took him a lot of places with you.
Yeah,
like he was
he was
with
my best
you
friend.
a lot of the time. Yeah. And I feel like that's funny. It's why he's gotten so much on the cars and gotten a love for it and a passion for it as well, especially at the age of 7, is because he's always been there.
Yeah, if I was building a car, Andrew was building a car, because even at 3 months old, I had to do what I had to do, so he was there with me. If he was crying and he needed his diapers changed, I'd stop what I was doing and make sure he had,
And
you
taken
know,
care of,
and taking care of him. So there's a lot of times where he's been there at the forefront, even at a super small age. I remember going to I think it was Thunder Valley with him and bringing those little earmuffs.
Yeah.
Because I was at a car show.
Dude, I remember you getting him his first ride-along car and you working on that for him and tricking it out. Yes.
Oh
dude.
my God, I do remember that.
Yeah. Didn't you get him like a Lamborghini or it was a truck or a Jeep or a
No,
Lambo or something?
I got him an Audi.
Yes.
I think it was a TTRS, and it was not cool enough. So the first thing that we did to it was put underglow on it and make sure that the lights worked. And I remember he would wash his car with my actual show stuff.
Yes.
And he used a $40 bottle of detailer, the whole bottle,
and you just let
on
it
this
happen.
car. Yeah.
You just let it happen.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
He once used my floor jack to jack up his car to change the tires.
Dude, in moments like that, I have to make it all worth it.
I have pictures of everything.
That dude, and not even just actual photos, but just mental photos.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, those are memories will last for forever.
Oh my gosh. I remember I had to help somebody out once, and it was raining, and I didn't have anybody to watch my son. So we actually helped him out. I just put my son in a swimsuit, and he splashed in puddles the whole time, but we got the job done.
Yes.
You know?
So fast forward after that, a couple years later, you start taking off a little bit more. You start gaining traction, especially with the stance scene, and you shoot up to doing home jobs to actually moving into a shop location and opening up a company, Lyons and Co.
That's true.
So what was kind of the rampage and actually what pulled the trigger and got you in the mindset of, getting out of your garage or getting out of your house and getting an actual location and going into starting and opening an official business?
So before I actually opened, I worked at a shop actually in the same location that my shop is in now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there to take on, the custom stuff and the suspension stuff like I had been doing forever.
Yeah.
And I did not like how it was ran. I'd seen some things up there that I didn't agree with, and I didn't like it. So I ended up leaving. And at the time I had a friend, he was in Texas now. Shout out Nick, you're the man. I basically made a joke to him, I never wanted to open a business. I never wanted to open a shop because I never wanted to be in a position where I had to rush my work to pay a bill.
Yeah.
A lot of small shops, especially in the custom industry, there's not a lot of money. People think it's like there's $1 million and you're making $1 bazillion off of every car, and it's not the case. This isn't West Coast Customs out here.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to be in that position, so I made a joke with my friend who actually had this shop in Mustang, and he wasn't using it because he did roofing and stuff like that. And I made the joke, I'm like, dude, if you pay for it, I'll start today. And he did. He paid my LLC. He paid for the building at first, and we negotiated some stuff and made it work. And about 6 months into it, we realized that we were just better friends. So we went our separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still friends. I was messaging him not that long ago.
Yeah.
And he's killing it down in Texas doing his thing. And I moved into the shop that I'm in now, and I was like, you know what? I'm here. If I can make it work, let's make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've taken off. You've done some awesome, badass projects, going from, slammed Lexuses to Hondas to, your Volkswagens to your recent project, which you're stoked about. I don't know how much you could talk about.
That's going to be cool. I know.
Can we talk about it?
Which one?
Can we please talk about it?
The red one?
The red one.
Yeah, we can talk
Can
about
we
it.
talk
We can
about
talk
it
about it,
exclusively
yeah.
here on the podcast?
Talk about, yes.
So you got to work on a badass new R8.
Yeah, it's
Is
a
it like
2020.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, Audi R8.
Super clean.
Yeah, so the story with that car, I got to work directly with Airlift on that, and that was really cool. So we got to do some, essentially bag this Audi R8. This is the second one I've done.
Yeah.
I did a black one too.
The black one was like a 18, 19?
17.
Okay, yeah.
That's
So
Charles.
it was the previous generation to this
Yes.
newest Audi generation, yeah.
So I got to do the air ride on it. We made some custom mounts with the help of SS Industries for welding, because I cannot weld.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Especially aluminum.
Yeah.
But luckily we live in Oklahoma and everyone's a welder.
Dude, everyone is
Everyone's
a welder.
but me.
Everyone.
But yeah, I got to bag that for Airlift, but the point of doing that car was actually to help Airlift. They're gonna drop some reels and videos and stuff like that in the future, so stay tuned for that.
Dude, how crazy is that, going from your garage to now you've got a name with this company, Airlift, which is, if not the number one airlift management company all across the world.
They are number one. They run the industry.
You've got a name with them, and you're doing videos and product and images and sending back for them to use.
I've done a couple things and helped them out, but this particular car, they have a builder series, which is not a bolt-in direct kit. You could basically essentially build your air shocks for the platform that you're using.
Yeah.
And most people think that you can only use it on like trucks and other stuff, but there's a lot of different configurations out there, and we were able to make it work on a supercar.
Yeah.
Which
is another thing, before we get too much into it, is getting more and more common these days. A lot of these supercar owners are realizing the perks and the differences of having a static setup or a suspension setup to running airlift management.
There's a lot of controversy because static people are like carburetor people. You know, it's the greatest thing ever, and here we are with fuel injection and computers.
If you're not dragging, you're bagging.
Yeah. So, and they have this misconception of, you know, the damages of what air ride did with mini trucks in the 90s and early 2000s, with trying to make cars hop. You'd run into problems, etc. To, you know, digital performance based product. And so a lot of the newer generation and younger kids that are getting into it, you know, that have a little bit of money and some cool supercars, they're open to the idea. Where a lot of the older people are just the purists, I guess you'd say, aren't really open to it.
Yeah.
And with that, you're finding a lot more, you know, supercars being built.
Well, that and adjustable suspension, even coming out on factory vehicles now, is becoming way more of a popularity thing than it used to be.
It's super duper cool because it's very responsive and very adaptive to a lot of different situations. You know, a lot of people just, you know, think the airing out thing.
Yeah.
They don't realize that you can do height sensors and keep your car super balanced.
Well, and that's another thing. My dad used to be a hot shot, and he had air ride suspension on his rear shocks just because it was easier to haul heavy loads, and then also he could lower and raise up depending on the trailer of connecting. So he could lower it down and go ahead and connect his load, whether it was gooseneck or a trailer pull, and then ride back up evenly. And then he had a way more comfortable ride on rear air suspension than he did on a regular static shock. Yeah,
it'll help with sway and numerous other things. I mean, I've worked on a lot of different air ride cars at this point. I honestly don't even know.
Let's list them. What do you got
at the shop right now?
Yeah, anything, dude. What are your top 5 or top 6 most fun cars besides the Audi R8 that we've talked about, the 2020?
The most fun cars.
What else? Yeah, because you've done some badass projects, dude. You're building a portfolio. You have quite a list.
Oh man, there's so many of them. I think I've done every Mustang.
You got it, dude. Pull out your hand and give me the top 5.
Top
5 cars.
Right, not including the R8.
Not including the R8.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah.
I did a yellow Lexus recently. It's now black. That's pretty wild.
What was it?
It's a IS 350.
That's pretty badass.
It's pretty sick. Shout out Jake for being the man.
Yeah.
I'm doing a 66 Cadillac Coupe de Ville.
That's pretty dope.
I'm actually really pumped about
Throwing
that.
it old school.
I did an 87 M6. True M car,
Yeah.
low mileage.
Yeah.
That got sold at Exotic Motor Sports, and it was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Um,
That's another crazy thing, dude. Okay, so we're at number 3 on the list. We got 2 more, but just to put a pause on that, seeing the cars you do go from owner to owner, store to store, seeing a car for sale online, and you're like, dude, I did the work on that.
dude, I just found out I did a C10, a blue one, and the original owner that I did the work for said he traded it for 2 trucks. I'm not kidding. Like, Chip, you're the man. And that guy, I guess, that owns it now, it's like in like a magazine or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I'm trying to figure out which one it is so I can buy a copy.
Yeah.
That was like super cool to me, you know?
Yeah.
What else did...
2 more.
Okay. Trying to think of what I just did last year. I got to do a cool Subaru, and this one it was a WRX, and it's not like a wow build or anything like that, but the owner, David, has like the worst luck in the world, and I had bagged his car originally, and his setup got stolen.
What?
They smashed his window
What?
with a brick, and they
I feel
stole
bad for laughing now.
his whole setup.
What?
And we got to redo that.
They just ripped it out or what?
Yeah, dude. And while they were ripping it out, the wires were exposed, touch metal, fried his entire wiring
No
harness in the car. I'm
shit.
not even kidding, bro. The dude's got the worst luck.
What?
Nicest guy in the world, man. He's turned into such a great friend. I mean, he was at my wedding. He's a really, really amazing human being. If you ever get to meet David, he's super
What's
cool.
his last name?
Huey.
Does he have a Mustang?
Nope.
No?
Blue WRX.
Is he a pilot?
Nope.
No? Okay, wrong David.
Nope. This guy he's super subtle.
Yeah.
And we got to rebag it on airlift stuff,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. We did a free trunk setup on him.
Dude, I hate thieves.
Dude,
Hate them.
bro,
Hate them.
I was so mad. So I would put him as 4
Yeah.
for sure. So we got
The
BMW. Lexus, BMW,
C10.
C10,
David.
5.
It could be old too. It doesn't have to be new.
I'm trying to think. There's so many.
Dude, you've done a lot, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. The portfolio you've been able to put on is pretty crazy. Have you done?
I'd probably say that the new beige Mustang that I did not that long ago. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty up there.
Yeah. What was it, like a 5.0 or a GT or
Coyote
that's
car.
pretty dope. Yeah.
It's like a
That's
beige
another
color
thing,
now.
dude. It's crazy. Not only these, supercars, but these domestics too are finding air suspension and jumping on the air ride stance game.
I've done so many domestic cars.
And in Oklahoma, that's kind of edible. Like,
yeah,
it's happening.
From Mopars. I mean, I bagged a Durango from like
That's pretty dope.
Arkansas. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's cool.
Did some Jeeps. Did a Trackhawk.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Dude, I want one so bad.
No, you don't.
If I get a
Stay away from
Charger,
Mopars, man.
a Hellcat, or a Trackhawk,
If you like electrical problems, then buy yourself a Mopar.
dude, fucking, it could light on fire while I'm in it, and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
You remember Robert Waite
Yeah.
and his son? Dude, I used to drive his Hellcat every weekend, and dude, I fell in love with the Charger Hellcat platform.
Really?
Absolutely love them. Dude, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
You hear that whine?
Yeah.
It's like a CTSV. Eric Mason, he used to let me drive a CTSV.
Really?
Dude, oh my gosh. If I ever get into cars again, if it's not an Evo, it's going to be a Hellcat or a CTSV.
I've done some Evos. I've done a ton of Mustangs.
Yeah.
Done some 5th gen Camaros, a lot of Mopars, a lot of Challengers. At the shop right now, I have that 66 DeVille. I'm doing another Challenger. I don't even know. I have a Mustang up there right now. I have a Ford Focus ST that we're doing some pretty cool carbon stuff too.
Yeah. That's another thing that's been cool too. Other than like the air management systems, you've been able to do like and work with custom wraps and trim parts and audio systems. And,
Yeah.
like you guys are, if you're not able to do it in house, like you're able to outsource it and get it done.
Yeah, I've made some pretty legit friends that are willing to come up to the shop. A lot of people don't even realize that for the longest time, it's been just me.
Yeah.
Doing all the work, responding to customers, getting parts, etc. And it's not my full-time job.
Yeah.
So it does
which comes to you having 2 phone numbers.
Yeah.
Which I found out
Yeah.
I don't have your personal phone number anymore.
I'm actually
So
going
when
to
I
blow
was
your mind.
calling you earlier today, that's why it was going to voicemail.
I'm going to blow your mind. I actually have 3 phone numbers.
Why?
Yeah, because I have a work phone,
Oh,
and then I have the
yeah.
shop phone, and then I have like a personal phone that I haven't given many people my number. And if you have it and you leak it, I will find you.
Well, like we were talking, it's funny because like once you own that shop, and it's like 1 or 2 people texting you after hours, okay, cool. But once you build like your portfolio and you have those people that are able to contact you every hour of the day, like
Yeah.
you said, dude, people just like hit you constantly.
Right now, like, I have people, like, if they can't call me because my phone is off, they'll message the business page.
I was about to call
When-
your wife
when
because
that
I
doesn't
couldn't
work,
get a hold of you.
They'll message my personal page, and then they'll hit my Snapchat up, and then they'll hit my Instagram up, and then they'll hit up, like, my personal
Then send a
Instagram.
pigeon.
And yeah,
Then they're
And,
calling
like,
your work.
yeah, dude. And it would be like, this is not a joke.
Yeah.
I had a person that tried to order air ride on Christmas Day.
Nice.
Didn't
They were-
respond.
They were wanting to use those fucking gift cards.
Didn't respond, and they were upset. Like, they were
Pissed,
like,
yeah.
"Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
I know. I see you're on the internet.
Yeah.
Are you going to respond, bro? Can you look that up for me?" Like, dude, I'm with my family.
Yeah. It's Christmas Day.
Try being with yours.
So, your latest achievement, but not your last,
Okay.
becoming a husband.
Yes.
Dude, congrats on that.
That was
Super
a-
happy for you guys. I love seeing you guys all the time. When you guys, like, she posts up photos and tags you and stuff, I'm like, dude, you guys are such an awesome, beautiful
If you want to
family.
meet the most amazing person in the world, meet my wife.
Yeah.
Because she is, honestly, she's the superhero.
Which I've seen her a few times when you guys are together, like at the stance shows, but I've never hung out with the 2 of you, so maybe we need to go out all together
We should
soon.
fix that, yes.
I'll try to find a date or something.
Yes.
And we'll come out. So
Rent one, man.
Yeah.
Just get one off of, like, Instagram or
Or
something like
Craigslist.
that. Craigslist.
a-
Throw an ad
a
out there.
rent one night,
Yeah.
return the next day.
Yeah, just this one's broken.
So how did you guys meet, and kind of what
We-
was the first date in the process? And
Dude, this is the funniest. She's gonna hate me for this, and I hope she hears it.
I hope I hear it because I'm ready.
So she actually, we met through mutual friends,
Uh-huh.
and her office was where my office was at the time.
Mhm.
So I knew who she was, but she didn't know me because the department I was in is like a no, or like secrets.
Yeah.
And so they made a post, like a friend of mine was like, "Hey man, you need to meet this girl." And I was like, "Oh my God, I know her." And they were like, "Oh my God." So I'm like, I didn't mean like I know her. I just
Yeah.
knew who she was.
Yeah.
And so they set this blind date up type thing, and neither one of us were having it. So we met at a bowling alley, and I look over, and she's like this beautiful blonde, like stunning
Yeah.
Southern belle,
Yeah.
amazing, God loving,
Yeah.
beautiful
Dude,
human being.
let me know where I could find one.
I'm trying to clone her. Cause it blew my mind, dude. I judged the book by the cover. I
Yeah.
looked at her, and I'm
Yeah.
like, here I am wearing like skinny jeans, like a black leather jacket, a shirt that's like a pentagram. It says
Dude,
"fuck the entire human race."
which is you.
Yeah, which is like me to
The
the
Southern
T.
rocker,
Yeah.
fucking ready to party.
Yeah, like I am.
From PA.
I'm like
V-dub is love.
covered in tattoos, and I'm like looking at this girl. Like looked at my friend, and I looked at her, and I like listened to her talk, and I looked at him. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like,
You're
bruh.
like, thanks for setting me up.
Like I don't even have a beard.
Yeah.
Like I don't drive a lifted truck
You're
at this
not
moment in
a
time.
flannel and a vest.
Yeah.
And cowboy boots.
Yeah, listening to, the greatest of country music
Luke
at the
Bryan.
time, and hanging out at the lake and doing stupid stuff. That's just not me.
Yeah.
So I blew it off, didn't think anything of it. And so later on, months go by, I'm at work, and I'm walking by, and again, our departments are no-note departments. Like, we are not supposed to even know each other.
Yeah. And
I hear, "Hey, Justin." And I was like, popped my head back, looked in her office. I was like, "What's up?" She's like, "I had a decent time at bowling, not that long ago." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I left her office and I turned the corner and my boss was right there and was like, "Hey, Justin, we need to talk."
Oh, no.
So he only heard bits and pieces. He thought that we went on a date.
Yeah.
So I get called in the office. I have to sign a bunch of paperwork at the time because what I was doing for work was a huge interference.
No shit.
Yeah. So she did not know that I had to do this.
Yeah.
So I messaged her. I'm like, "Hey, just to let you know, like, everything is good. I talked to my line of support.
Yeah.
Like, we could talk."
What did you have to sign?
Basically, at the time, what I was doing for work was pretty much like investigations of like employees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So because she worked at the location that I was at,
employee.
I couldn't investigate her. Like, because if we're friends, it'd be like, if you were a cop, you're not arresting your mom.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not doing it.
Yeah.
So I had to sign this paperwork basically saying that I wouldn't do that. And she did not know that that was a thing. So I messaged her like the creep, right?
Yeah.
Like, bruh.
Yeah.
"Hey, just to let you know, we could talk." And I'm thinking like physically talk, like as a human being, like I'm not allowed to be around you.
Yeah.
Like everything's good. And she's like, "Well, I don't, date guys I work with." I'm like, "Well, that's cool, me either."
She pulls you in the office, tells you
No,
she had a
this is
good
over
time.
Facebook.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like she stops you and is like, "Hey, had a good time with you," and then she hits you with the
Yeah, I don't
date people at work.
Yeah, and I was like, "Me either." Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I literally can't. Right? So we don't talk for a while.
Yeah.
Right? And she messages me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm going," or no, we're talking at work briefly. And she's like, "Hey, I'm going out to Cowboy Ranch tonight with some girlfriends." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, me and my friends were actually going out to Cowboy Ranch too."
Were you really though?
Yeah, we really were.
Oh my gosh.
And the worst part is we left like really quick. And we went to Groovies, which is like a cougar bar.
Mm-hmm.
And my homie Callan basically got molested by his grandmother.
Very
Not
nice.
literally his grandmother,
Good
but
for him.
it was bad. So it was
Yeah.
like a train wreck, and I didn't want to be there. And
Yeah.
I look at my phone, beep. "Hey, are you still here? I'm looking everywhere for you." From Mallory.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I left, but I could come back,
Yeah.
And I'm at
How bad are you wanting Justin?
wasn't even like that. Like, we weren't even friends at this point, So, I ended up going back to Cowboy Ranch and meeting her, and her friend immediately ditches her.
Ooh.
And I'm like, "Hey, do you want something to drink?" And she's like, "No, I'm kind of like drunk." So I got myself a drink, but I got her a water.
Yeah.
And she thought that was like the nicest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I remember we sat on the stage and we were watching this person dance on the floor with that toilet paper
Nice.
stuck to their shoe.
Nice.
And she looked at me square in the face, and this is when I knew she had a personality. She looked at me square in the face and was like, genuinely said, she's like, "That piece of toilet paper has gotten more dances than me tonight." And I knew it was a subtle hit to dance.
You were like, "Shit, I gotta learn how to dance real quick."
But here I am again, out of place, wearing black skinny jeans and all black at a country club. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody.
Which, for those who don't know, Oklahoma country clubs, like, dude, we're talking Daisy Dukes, high boot jeans, fucking.
Yeah, like these
tight,
people are
tight
area.
Wranglers, fucking big old rodeo buckle.
Yeah,
like,
stuffing my fist in my cheek as
Yeah.
a dip, just this big wad of tobacco, wearing the yeehaw
you're
hats.
not from around here, boy.
Yeah. Exactly.
So for Justin, for those who don't know Justin, for he'll be in like a van skater boy, like stance scene, car scene, tatted up, dude.
Yeah. So
It's funny for me because I've known you for so long.
Yeah, and it was awkward anyway, you know?
So did you dance?
No, we did not dance. And still to this day, the only dance I've had with her was at our wedding. This is true.
So how did you get out of that? What did you guys do? Did you guys just go home?
No,
or
we just watched
talked
and I
for
was
a
like
while?
laughed and we talked and then we were leaving and I said, "Hey, let me walk you to your car. You know, you're downtown. You're not going to leave this really pretty blonde just walk by herself."
Absolutely not. No.
So she's like, "Well, I live in Burketown."
Yeah.
So I walked her back to her apartment.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, she's like, "You want to come up?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
But I paid respect. Like, she sat on the couch and I stayed in the kitchen. We talked for like 2 hours and I left. That was it.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
And we became really good friends.
Yeah.
And she was like fighting liking me. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is never going to work.
Yeah.
We are like two different cultures.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even two different people. We're two different cultures, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, lo and behold, fast forward. I asked her as a friend, like, "Hey, you want to go to New York as like as a joke?"
Yeah.
And she responded as yes. And I took it as like a bet, like, "You ain't gonna make me, bitch," you know. So I
Yeah.
bought tickets immediately.
Yeah.
This was like 6 months before we even went. We went to New York City, and I ended up proposing in New York City 6 months later.
Yeah.
And we got married the following year.
Dude, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
So
but
crazy.
she is the greatest. She's
That's
the greatest
awesome.
human being. She's the most supportive.
Dude, and from what I've seen on Facebook and Instagram, like she takes Andrew as her own. Like she absolutely loves that kid. Loves that kid.
That is, that's they're two peas in a pod. Sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. But that's kids. That's life.
Yeah.
But no, she really does. She steps up quite a bit, and it's mind-boggling how amazing she is. I don't think the shop would grow as much as it has without the support that she gives me day in and day out.
And I mean, that's awesome, dude. Especially from a family perspective, and your mom saying that, and your dad saying that, and
my parents love her.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
pretty sure they like her more than me. But I did grow up being the F up in the family, and I'm sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
For some of the stuff I did when I was a kid, not all of it.
Dude, well, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm glad to hear that you have that support system and you start having that structure, and you've got that person to lean on. So.
Yeah, she's the real MVP. She is amazing. Absolutely, I can't say greater things about my
That's
wife.
awesome.
It's awesome, dude.
So I mean, what's the future plans? What do you have next?
I am actually I've been working on this for a while, but the future for me is I'm working on a product line, and I'm going to do the development and prototyping of that and drop that. It'll be stance related. I'll keep people updated with that, but that's
how far in detail can we get into that?
Is it
going classified?
It's going to change. I don't want to leak because what I'm doing is untampered water, but it'll definitely change the game for the people in the air community doing it from home.
Yeah.
It's kind of a missed market that I think it's needed.
Yeah.
Especially with the direction that air ride and cars are going in today's world. I think it'll be a much better fulfilled thing, and also simplify a lot of the stuff that I do day in and day out, which will be really cool. But that's the future of what I have planned. I honestly never thought Lyons and Co would take off. I didn't. And it's funny we mentioned my phone numbers, and going back to that, when I first opened, it was my personal cell phone number was the business number.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how anxiety can hit you when you don't realize if it's a customer of your son's school.
Yeah.
So you're answering everything, You're like, is he beat up on the playground?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's just another a-hole. Yeah. So.
Can you bag my Mustang?
Hey, I don't have any money. Is there any way that you can bag my Mustang?
Sponsorship.
Dude, I had clubs hit me up for sponsorships.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of, but I've done a lot of good stuff too, and helped out a lot of people with doing free things, and it's been a blessing there. But yeah, I definitely get some bogus stuff. I actually once, this is a true story. and I don't know who you are, but I hope you're listening. I had a person call me on Snapchat to look up parts to bag his like Integra, I think. I don't even know if they're local.
Yeah.
And it's like 2:00 in the morning. Like I'm not answering.
Yeah.
And he was like pretty adamant, like I could do some dirty things to his girlfriend if I will bag his car. And I was not having it at all.
You're getting the OnlyFans special.
Yeah, I was getting like, yes.
He really wanted the sponsorship.
He was not.
Dude.
He wasn't talking HBO. I was getting full OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And that was a no.
Yeah.
I could say to this day I haven't bagged an Integra in Oklahoma.
But if it ever comes, we're watching for you.
But if it,
we're looking for you and your girlfriend.
If it ever comes, I don't want your girlfriend.
Maybe I take his girlfriend to our double date with Mallory.
No, because then I still have to see her. It's really funny. When me and Mallory first started like dating, we were going to like car shows and stuff like that. She thinks I'm like the biggest celebrity. She's like my biggest fan. She really does.
She's so awesome. I want to meet her so bad. I really do. Which, like I said, I've seen her here and there, but we've never had like an actual conversation or back and forth.
She like. Yeah, she thinks I'm like this big celebrity, so we'll go to like car shows.
You are, dude.
I am not a big
Especially in the stance scene. Are you kidding me?
So, I'm just an average show guy. But she like really, she used to get super jealous of tire biters.
Yeah.
And then now she knows me. Like, I will be nice to anybody, but I'll turn around and give her the look like, please, Lord.
Save me.
Another one. Like, I just got DJ Khaled. And it's like the same girls, like, anybody that's in the car community or any, I think, automotive community can tell the real ones from the tire buyers just by what they're wearing.
Dude, absolutely. 100%.
Like, a real car girl, she's at the track or whatever wearing yoga pants and a hoodie.
Or
her
like
hair
jeans
is
and a hoodie. Yeah.
She's like tried to put herself together because she's like, human, but she's not.
Yeah.
She's not wearing,
She stayed up all night trying to work on her shit.
Yeah, she's not wearing the makeup from Ulta. She's bottom shelf at Walmart. It's track day,
We know you.
We know who you are,
dude, some of them come out, dude.
And then you'll see the tire biter that walks by and she's staring at what she thinks is the hottest car out there.
It's a
and
GTR.
And you
stock
can see
wheels.
You can see her V from the side because, like, her shorts are so tight and so short. You know who I'm talking about,
We know you.
We know who you are.
That's
and,
so
like,
awesome.
they're, like, so bubbly and so dumb.
Dude, it cracks me up because you always hear them from afar. They're like, oh, my God, is that GTR?
Yeah.
Is like the R35. It's not even.
Like, they don't even know what it is. They just see it on a shirt. And they're
like Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Is that a GTR?
If you can't tell the difference between a real.
Those.
Yeah.
I want one so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're like the girls are like Supras. That's not just a shoe,
dude, and it comes from the fanboys too. There's dudes like that, like is not a legit car guy because they're just like, is that a GTR?
That's
a lot.
GTR. Yeah, there really is.
And it's literally just a R35 on stock wheels and stock dealership tires, like stock suspension and everything. And they're like, that's a Skyline.
That's a real one. Those are faster than street bikes. I've seen the YouTube videos.
Yeah. Dude, that could be anything here.
Anything.
Well, dude, for those that want to keep up with you, where can they keep up with you? Where can we find you?
Follow me on Instagram. I have my Lyons and Co page on there.
But it's like Lyons _.
And
_co. Yeah, just so we're specific.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have your
Facebook page, which is also Lyons and Co.
Yeah.
Normal spelling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
you
in
can
case
find me on
it's
Google.
Lyons with a Y.
Yes.
That too. Lyons.
You can find me on Google. You can put me in your GPS. Leave a Yelp review.
Well, dude,
whatever.
for anybody and everybody that wants to get in management, as long as it's during business hours, Justin's a super, super open, humble guy. Dude, if you guys need anything suspension-wise, anything fitment, anything wheels, anything aftermarket, anything sound, you guys can hit him up and contact him there at his Instagram or shoot him a message on Facebook.
Yes, please do.
And, dude, it was good seeing you. I'm
pleasure,
glad you're here, dude. It was fucking awesome to have you. Awesome episode. And with that being said, we will wrap up episode 1. Be sure to go follow Justin, show him some love. Especially keep up with his projects. That Audi R8 that's got a big coming up with airlift. That will be badass. So
I cannot wait to leak the videos for that.
Excited to see those, and obviously when they come out, I'll share them on my page as well. So that being episode 1. Appreciate everyone listening, and we will see you next time.